This is saving hams from giving up HF because of high noise levels. Now, here's another example. What you've just seen are receive-only antennas made by RF.Guru and DX Engineering. Now, why are receive-only antennas saving ham radio for a growing number of hams? Well, listen to a comment from a viewer of this channel. There is something you can do about all the man-made noise. I was about to give up on HF at my little beach house that's elbow to elbow with tons of others. Then someone let me borrow a receive-only loop antenna. It was night and day. It made HF go from plus 20 over noise to maybe S3, if that. And there are many other examples. One ham says he tried everything and was planning to take all his gear to a ham fest and sell it all. Then he decided to try one more thing, a receive-only antenna, and that saved the hobby for him. If you've taken measures to make sure that your antenna feed line is not part of the antenna, which makes the feed line a noise antenna, and you're still getting unacceptable noise because it's being picked up by the antenna, this is the answer, a receive-only antenna. Now, a previous video explained how to prevent your feed line from being an antenna. It is not hard to do. It is not expensive. There's a link in the description of this video. With the explosive growth in cheap consumer electronics that spew RF noise, this could become standard operating procedure someday. One antenna for transmit and another for receive. Transceiver makers are getting the message. Look at the back of an ICOM IC7300 MK2. Separate receive and transmit connectors on a $1,500 rig. Why do these receive antennas reject noise? Our radio signals are electromagnetic waves traveling through space at the speed of light. They're made up of two things: an electric field, which we call E field, and a magnetic field, which we call H field. The RF giving you an S9 noise level is mostly locally generated E field. Switch mode power supplies, for example. Now, your big transmit antenna picks it up really well. Receive antennas are designed to reject it. A receive antenna does not necessarily amplify distant RF signals, make them louder. It reduces the noise level so those signals can be heard. To use an old ham radio expression, if you can't hear them, you can't work them, no matter how great your transmitted signal is. The big contest stations like K3LR use receive-only antennas. That is one way they win. There are two basic types of receive antennas, E-field and H-field. E-field antennas, often just a short whip like you see here, are very compact and wideband. They're great when you can install them away from local noise, which is mostly E-field. Now, this would work if, let's say, your transmit antenna picks up a lot of noise, but you can locate an E-field antenna in a corner of your yard, for example, away from the house and other noise sources. An H-field antenna, typically a loop, is for high noise environments. Now, they're also directional, so a particular noise source can be nulled out. To quote ON6URE, you can turn the deaf side toward a noise source and the band suddenly opens. Now, they're not as broadband as E-field types, but if high local noise is your issue and the receive antenna cannot be located away from the house and other noise sources, a loop is what you need. Now, receive loops can either be a small loop on a mast or, like we see here, a large wire loop just laying on the ground. Now, what you choose depends on your property circumstances and preferences. What about a receive antenna in the attic, if that's the only place a ham can put his antennas? A receive-only antenna can absolutely be located in an attic. Now, another solution is your transmit antenna in the attic and a small receive antenna on the deck or in the yard. What if your rig doesn't have separate transmit and receive connections? Most don't. Well, you'd use a transmit-receive switch, which is what we all used back when ham stations were separate receivers and transmitters. The various ham radio vendors will be glad to sell you one, but they tend to be expensive. Now, I've seen videos here on YouTube of hams who've made their own for a lot less money. All right, we're going to wrap this up now with the RF.Guru website, The Takeaway. If you're in a modern neighborhood and you're serious about DX, you don't need a bigger S meter, you need better ears. A dedicated receive antenna and the right isolation choking around it is one of the fastest ways to turn HF is dead at my place into wait. There it is. Work around the noise, not in the noise. And a couple things here from the mini FAQ. The receive antennas make signals stronger, sometimes a bit, but the real win is making the noise weaker. So readability, signal to noise ratio improves even when the S meter barely moves. Can I use my transmit antenna for receive anyway? Absolutely. But in many real neighborhoods, it's also the best noise collector on your property. A separate receive antenna often restores the band. Consider subscribing to this channel. Ring the bell for updates in 73.